Welcome back to the Talking Wolves podcast. We're here to discuss the defeat at Manchester United, looking ahead to the penultimate game of the season and the final home game of the season against Everton. And we'll have a little bit of fun later on with your questions and a little quiz as well. My name is Dave. Matt is away in Europe, sunning it up. Alongside me, as you guys on YouTube can see, we've got Mr. Jord Russell. Jord, how are you keeping?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I've been a bit sore over the weekend, as in body, wise. I think I've got a flu coming, really. So feels like I've been in the ring, maybe a few rounds of Sean Dyche as per usual, No, but yeah, other than that, keeping well, mate. And Finn returning after your little break last week as well. Are you keeping?
Yeah, all good. I was going to relate to being like emotionally sore after the weekend, but it was completely something different. But no, yeah, just feeling a little bit underwhelmed about the football, but we'll get into it. And it's suppose we can all go on the beach now. We can have a bit of fun with this podcast. We may as well go straight on. Have we got any what's your favourite packet of crisps? Should we just go straight?
we have got a good one.
Have we got anything? Have we? Okay.
We've got after a night out on the pop.
Oh, don't spoil it yet.
No, yeah. So
okay.
All right, we'll save that one for later. Anyway,
we'll do a bit of football and then get to the good bit.
Yeah. How's your holiday, Finn?
Really good. Yeah, Matt worried me. Yeah, to Rhodes, because Matt, I didn't know about that wind thing, and it was a little bit windy, to be fair. But yeah, we risked it, to be fair, because we went in like the first week of the season, but you get it for like half the price, and we got good weather. I mean, I burnt a little bit, obviously, because Matt, even though Matt isn't here, everyone behind the scenes, he dropped in, insulted my face, and then left again from holiday into the thing. So and he insulted me last week as well, didn't he, on how I speak? So either way, I get insulted. But no, yeah, it was good fun. Yeah, I said to you, didn't I, about the Olympiacos barman.
Yeah.
Didn't like Wolves very much. That was superb. So I was literally the first few days I thought, like on holiday, if you get in the good books of the barman, because it gets busy, like we were getting served quick. So I was bragging to Jem, I was like, I've got these on side now, easy. We went down from our morning mimosas for free with my Wolves top on for the first time on like the fourth day, and the guy we'd like buttered up, he went, Wolves. And I was like, oh yeah, well remember, like well spotted. He was like, I hate Wolves. I was and it was like,
a double turns into a single,
Yeah, he's going, it was never offside about the Olympiacos European game. So that was for the rest of the holiday. Every drink he poured, he just kept going, the poison will kick in 10 minutes. And he was raving about Prudence and Sarr as well, but it was just after Sarr had obviously thrown a few in his own net at Brighton. So wasn't very popular with either of us. But no, yeah, in summary, it was good fun. And I
don't remember their offside goal. Which one was that?
Oh, mate, do you know what? They still reply under Wolves stuff now. Cheeks, Olympiacos fans. They took
it was the one at Molineux, wasn't it?
It was at Molineux, yeah. It was I think it was before our penalty, because we got a penalty, didn't we? Prudence won a penalty. I think it was before that, though. There was one where it was dead tight, but it was offside. Like the little red and blue line, there was a little bit of a gap, but yeah, they weren't happy. Still not happy.
I have good memory. I just can't remember that for whatever reason, but no. Yeah. Well, at least you had a good break anyway, Finn. And talking of insults, Jord, Matt's not here today, so we'll all be on our best behaviour because we don't want Jonah making another video. I won't flag it up on the screen, but it's probably the most savage Talking Wolves podcast edit of
tell me about it. I had my mates going. Well, some of my mates said, "God, that ain't very nice, is it?" And I was like, "What are you on about?" And they said, that clip. I said, yeah, but he took a clip back, a 10-second clip of an hour and a half podcast where we all take the piss out of each other, and it's just a funny bit. And then, all right, fair enough then. And but
in my defence, Finn, I thought Jord was setting me up for the second joke.
Oh no, yeah, I was listening along. I was there like,
he set me up.
It was a tap in. I've had a word with Jonah anyway. I've had a word with Jonah anyway. We're mates now, and I've told him if he gets me again, he's going to get a wedgie. So I don't actually know how old he is. That's the problem here. So
he said he's too young to go on the podcast, didn't he? So
yeah, so he might be too young for a wedgie. I might end up getting on some fucking sex offenders list. So I better not say that. Let's cut that out. Yeah, I won't back. I might just have to leave him be.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he'll be listening very closely because he must have a notebook of all the best bits of Talking Wolves. Finn's not had a clip yet, so I'm sure he'll
haven't said anything interesting. Yeah,
I'm sure he'll be listening now. But Wolves were at Old Trafford on Saturday. Unfortunately, another defeat, but quite a few talking points from this game, lads. The big one, Dan Bentley coming in, not just his Wolves debut, his Premier League debut. Obviously, there's been talk of potentially replacing Sarr for the last few weeks or so, especially after the defeat against Brighton, and it stretched back probably since about January, really, where he's been dropping clangers. But Bentley came in, only changed. I know we lost the game 2-0, but he had a pretty good debut performance, didn't he?
Yeah, very good. And I've been calling for it for a few weeks now, and I don't think there's any. You can't tell me after that performance from Bentley, Sarr's any better than him. And I thought he was quite good with his feet. Some of the saves made were unbelievable as well. Like, I mean, we can talk about the football game in a bit. I thought we were embarrassing, tepid. Just there's no point even turning up. I like. It could have been if it was ended up being 5 or 6-0. You wouldn't have batted an eyelid, would you? It was that bad on our side of things. And I mean, Bentley's made 2 or 3 world-class stops, and you know what? I think he'll end up playing the next 2 games as well. I don't see Sarr coming back in, if you ask me.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question in a second. You know what? In the ground, I knew he made a couple of stops, but I didn't really appreciate them. I've not watched the highlights in full, but I saw clips of 1 or 2 of the saves. But I think it's the one, it may be Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong, at the near post, where he's fired it towards sort of, you'd expect it to go across goal, and he's hit it with real power at the near post. And the way he adjusted, I think his distribution at times with his feet was a little bit off. But I think Wolves are so rigid in positional wise. I know on the fans react, a couple of the people saying in terms of like the formation and structure, Wolves very almost too structured rather than anything. But in terms of him, he likes the quick distribution. We saw that throwing the ball out a number of times as well. But Finn, in terms of a debut performance, it was pretty decent. And like George said, it could have been 5 or 6 if it wasn't for those good saves.
It could, yeah. I think if you'd have offered him a 2-0 loss, he probably wouldn't have taken it. But yeah, it's almost the performance doesn't warrant that score, does it? I thought he was superb. I don't think he was challenged as much with his feet, as in he didn't have one of those moments where, you know, when your heart's in your mouth with Sarr, where someone's pressing him down. There wasn't quite a moment to see how he deals with that sort of stuff. Then again, it's heart's in my mouth with Sarr if someone's on the halfway line. But no, yeah, I think you've probably got to give him another go. I thought he was great. Some of those saves, as you say, that I didn't quite appreciate in the ground from where we were. A lot of the saves were in the second half, weren't they? So they're on that far side.
Yeah.
And then when you watch them back, some of them were absolutely brilliant, getting down really, really quickly. So yeah, it's as good as a 2-0 loss debut could have been. I think some great saves in there, and he probably comes away as our man of the match. Although it wasn't really tough competition with that performance, as George said.
I know you got a bit of stick this morning, Steve Madeley. He said his debut couldn't have gone any better. He probably could have if he gets a clean sheet. But Jordan, other than that, there was no other changes, which I was fairly happy with, to be fair, especially after the win last week. I thought having both Cunha and Costa may help us create a few chances. But, you know, United were on top for probably, 8 or 9 times, 90% of the game, really. Their goal was frustrating because obviously it was Kilman who got caught out. He stepped up for the goal, and it was Anthony Martial who, ended up putting United 1-0 because that was frustrating. I was hoping Dan Bentley was, he came off his line to try and stop that, but Kilman stepping up just made that far too easy for United.
Yeah, and again, like, I'm not been Sarr's biggest fan. I'm not Kilman's biggest fan, and it's just very, very shot. He's mediocre defending. Like he's come out, stepped out the line, tried to nick the ball, got nowhere near it. Then let him spin when he could have just brought him down. Stop the play, get a booking. You got beat to the ball. You made a mistake. Stop the game dead. Take the booking. Let him go on, and then he's just jogging back. Like it's half-arsed. It's just not very good. Like there's no two ways dressing up about it. It's really poor defending, and for me, he's a real someone that we've got to look at in the summer in terms of if we want to be in the Premier League next year. Like we need to improve all over the pitch. I've said that many times, but I don't think Max Kilman should be starting for us next year. Not in a back four because there's just far too many errors. There's that one. There's Brighton. Just to name a few, and for me, he's just not good enough.
Yeah, I think there's going to have to be, and I'm sure Lopetegui's already working on it, but there's going to be some very difficult and serious conversations to be had, whether that be between Lopetegui, Jeff Shee, Matt Hobbs, and obviously certain players as well. Because I think there's going to be, as you've said before, there's going to be a big squad revamp, I would say as well. Finn as well, the second goal, I think at that point Wolves were just pushing for the equaliser. We saw that. I think Kilman was ordered to do almost a Mick McCarthy, Kenny Jackett-esque tactic of going up front to help the attack, and that's where United caught us out. And Garnacho, from a Man United point of view, it's probably written in the stars for him to return and grab a goal or assist. But again, that was, I suppose, when you're pushing for the win, you understand these things happen. But, can't take much away from the finish because it was still a top goal. Do you think Wolves could have avoided it defensively, or do you think it's just one of those goals?
Yeah, you know what? Like, until you said Garnacho, then when you were asking that question, I was panicking, thinking I couldn't even remember who scored or how it happened. Because literally, as that goal went in,
even on the reaction after the game, I said 1-0 United. I was like, oh wait, actually, it was 2-0, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for that, because he's got new hair and new teeth, hadn't he, Garnacho, for his return. And yeah, it was a good goal. It was just it was one you sort of accept. If the game would have meant something, it probably stung a little bit more. And they absolutely, do you think in the stadium, they absolutely loved him, didn't they, coming on? Like the whole stadium. It was the biggest cheer of the day, so.
I don't know. I see a lot of Cristiano Ronaldo in him as well. I do. Yeah. I don't think he'll ever get to those sort of levels, but I think they almost see him as like the second coming of Ronaldo. I think of the way he acts, he looks, and so that's probably what it is. But he's their star boy as such, isn't it? And as he's out on loan at PSV.
He came from no. So I remember. Sorry, this is going way off the goal, but there was wasn't there a thing where Wolves got to a final of a youth cup?
Yeah, he played. He was unbelievable.
He absolutely battered. They were saying he shouldn't really been playing at that level. I remember them saying about an Argentinian kid, and obviously he seems to be holding up to that. But yeah, good goal. It was annoying that I was going to put Bruno Fernandes in my FPL and he gets the assist in the very last minute. Thought I'd got away with one, but yeah, annoying all round. But it was just one of those where you've got to go for that. We had to go for the draw, and sometimes things like that happen. And away from home this season, my God, it's happened quite a lot.
Yeah, just 2 wins away from home for Wolves. I think it's just, I did an article for BBC about it earlier. 11 goals altogether away from home, 33 conceded. I think, George, the record is not good. And when you look at, I think if our home form stays away, if you can win maybe half of your home games, you're already in a fantastic position to sort of stay in the Premier League. But if you want to get to the heights of where we were under Nuno, going sort of top 7 and potentially pushing for Europe, like people are talking about under Lopetegui, you do have to add points away from home. And it was only 2 or 3 years ago where we were going toe to toe. Even last year we beat United away, we've beaten City away, we beat Spurs away. So that obviously does need to improve. There's a number of things wrong with Wolves' performance. We spoke about certain moments in the game, but 0 shots on target for Wolves, Jord, which is frustrating. And on the way home, I thought, Costa, I know people keep on about this new contract. But then when I sort of calmed down a bit, I thought he barely got the ball in the final third anyway. So is the issue, and it's probably been the issue for the last 2 or 3 years, is the issue outside of, obviously we do need a striker, but outside of that as well, is it the central players and those wide players?
It's just the team. Like it's just this group and crop of players just simply aren't good enough. When it comes down to it, we've got all these talented players on paper, but when it comes to output, and that's not just this season. The wingers, Neto, Podence, Adama, Hwang. There's never enough goal contributions. And we never look that threatening ever. None of them. Like the strikers, Costa, Jimenez, Cunha, even to some extent, which I know he's not a natural striker, but still, you'd add him into that bracket. We're so blunt. It's just so, we're just not a very good football team. That's the truth of it. And I feel like if we are, I do think it's revolution, not evolution in terms of in the summer. I think we've got to. It's almost like a bit of a bomb squad. We've got to get gutted, start again, and it just feels. I'm just a bit bored of this squad of players, genuinely, and I don't know. I just think there's players there that want to be there, and there's some that don't. And Lopetegui come out in the press in the week and said, I only want players playing for Wolverhampton Wanderers who want to be here. And I think it'd be quite telling come the start of the summer, how many leave quite early on because, quality wise, we're just not up to it. And and again, I know it's hard to draw parallels, but I watched the Arsenal Brighton game yesterday, and Brighton are everything that I'm so jealous of them. Watching them, that's exactly everything you want what you want your club to be and more. They absolutely battered Arsenal, played them off the park. And a couple of years ago, we were in their position, that we've just regressed. And it just needs a refresh. I literally, and I've said it a few times, but gut the lot and start again. And I generally think that is the message.
Yeah, I just don't think we took, when we're in, and I know we did really well in Europe and we got 7th for the following season, but we just, recruitment-wise, we didn't take advantage of that at all. You look at the players that we signed that year, we were in the Europa League, Neto and Jordao, Vallejo, Catrone, obviously there would have been a couple of others as well, but there were some players there which just didn't, for whatever reason, just didn't work. And Wolves, like you said, have almost unfortunately gone backwards. Finn, I don't know from where you were sat at Old Trafford, or stood rather, for me, it just felt like the pitch just seemed absolutely massive for Wolves, as if there was just like they just could not cover the ground that Manchester United were covering. There were certain moments, we grew into the first half at least, where we'd have the ball in the final third, and we wanted choice where we had the ball in United's corner, and then within 3 passes it's all the way back to Dan Bentley again. We just didn't know what to do with that final third. And it was one of those things, and we saw changes happen. Adama had come on, Hwang had come on for Neto at halftime, who frustratingly had a disappointing performance because he has come on over the last couple of weeks or so. Jimenez also came on though, Finn, and I put this on Twitter yesterday. I thought the atmosphere, or the sort of attitude and atmosphere towards his substitution was, for me, surprisingly positive. The chants and the sound that came from the Wolves fans when he was coming on was I suppose really, really nice to see.
Yeah, there's always that. It doesn't really surprise me anymore that there's that sort of disconnect between Twitter fans. If you looked at Twitter fans, there's some players that you never wear the shirt again, or whatever. But those, especially away fans as well, that they're always going to, I think they were always going to back him. So it didn't necessarily surprise me. It didn't surprise me that we all couldn't keep in time either. I don't like the left side was singing it at once. So it really ruined that what could possibly be a final Si Senor, that the left side were halfway through it, the other side were only just starting it. So it felt like proper Wolves that. And yeah, it is funny because you say, like you said about Lopetegui saying, I only want to play players that want to be here. Yeah, if that was an 11 that wanted to be there, we did look a lot more threatening with Podence coming to 1 year on his contract, Adama possibly leaving, Jimenez possibly leaving. That almost the front four could have all been leaving it. And we looked okay. I know it's because we're going for a goal more. But yeah, it was a strange one. I think just going back to that point on creativity as well, I remember us highlighting in January on the live stream when we had Liam Keane on that we said we need a striker, yet the recruits were Sarabia's, Cunha's, and we'd said, do you think Lopetegui's identified that creation of chances instead of actually the strikers missing the shots? Like I think that was the case with the shots on target. And it is a strange one that we haven't seen Sarabia in a long time, but clearly they are thinking that. But yeah, I think in both areas, I don't think it's one or the other. Going back to that point on, is it the striker's fault or the creation? I don't think either have been up to scratch. And yeah, as you say, big revolution in the summer.
Yeah, I felt like every time, Totti or Bueno or Semedo picked up the ball, Jord, like they had to almost go backwards every time because you looked in front of him, there was just no options. And I was disappointed with the whole, almost the lack of mobility and energy from Lemina and Neves, which sounds mad, especially from Lemina's point of view, because, he's normally everywhere, but every time, we really struggled for an outlet. And I think one of those things to help Wolves push on, he's going to have to be someone that can pick that ball up and drive, which I know Lemina can do, but probably be a little bit more creative with the end product side of things as well. And like Finn said there, Sarabia is an interesting one because he's clearly a quality player, but he's not even getting, 5 or 10 minutes here or there, is he?
No, I think going back to that, what frustrates me the most about this Wolves team at the minute is like the Jekyll and Hyde performances. Like we were shocking against Brighton. Villa, like I said, Neves and Lemina were unbelievable all over the pitch. Like for 90 minutes, they were pressing high up the pitch, winning balls, winning the battles, up and down. And United again, they go back into being very like passive in how they do everything, like very safe with the ball, not really pressing high up the pitch, not winning the first ball or the second ball, just standing off. And I don't get why we're so Jekyll and Hyde. Like it was an unchanged 11 from the Villa game to the United game, but for me the performance was just so different. Like really, contrasting different, and it shouldn't be from week to week that much of a change. I understand you can have bad games and better games, and you'll have some anomalies, but on the whole, you should be quite consistent, especially when you're playing the same core group of players. But the performances are just like yin and yang, terrible. Yeah. And I think with Sarabia as well, like I know I've said it a few times, like for me, he'd be one of the first teams and one of the first names on the team sheet for me. I think he's really just an intelligent footballer, picks up the half spaces. Like I said, he hasn't got that explosive burst of pace like some of the other wingers. But the only thing I can think of for it is there's two things. One, I think he had twins, didn't he, recently? But he's still in matchday squad, so you can't say if he's in a matchday squad and he's there, he should be able to get on the pitch, would be my opinion on that. Secondly, as well, I think he looks a little bit lightweight for the Premier League in terms of his stature and physicality. And it could just be one that, we'll get him a proper pre-season and we might see the best of him next season. But I really hope it's not like a Greta situation where we've had him for 6 months and we give up on him and he sort of goes out the door. Because I think I want to keep him around. I think he's that good.
Yeah, obviously there has been very minor links for him possibly leaving the club already in the summer, but I think that's a good shout because at PSG he wasn't exactly getting masses of game time, so fitness could definitely be a thing. I think as mad as it sounds, it's real life. Family matters and so on behind the scenes can have an effect, especially when you're in a brand new foreign country. So I think he has got that little bit of quality, and he can just unpick a defense with a pass. We saw that in some of his early games as well. Be intrigued to see him almost as a number 10 because we've seen him out wide a little bit. Obviously the Cunha and Costa thing tends to work. Maybe try Cunha on the left cutting inside. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. But Manchester United, the penultimate away game for Wolves. Finn, were you going to say something?
Sorry, just on I know it's going into next season, but I quite liked when we did, I think it was Fulham away and a different game as well, where we did Jimenez, Cunha, Sarabia, and they sort of interchanged between the two up front and Sarabia in a 10 or Cunha out left, Sarabia wide.
That was our best half of football. Unfortunately, that was like what Jord said. That was Jekyll and Hyde, second half. It'll be interesting, and we'll go on to the Everton game now, but he hinted at possibly, changing up the side slightly. We did see Jimenez come on, who we hadn't seen much of. Adama really, for whatever reason, really frustrated me. I don't know about you, Finn, in that United game as well, where he just didn't, Craig Dawson went on an amazing run at one point, and whoever was in front of him, 6 players, just ran to the opposite side of the pitch, and he's on his own on the right-hand side. It took Adama a good 10-15 seconds to think, actually, if I run down the line here, I might find the ball, and he did, and it created half a chance for us. So we just didn't get him on the ball enough as well. But Lopetegui says he wants to keep him. If you're only bringing him on for 10-15 minutes at the end of a game, I think you're probably going to struggle to do that. But Wolves Everton, lads, the final home game of the season. Everton still got a lot to play for. Could still get relegated. It's so tight down there. Could come down to the last game for those last 2 places. I think pretty much depends. Well, I think it will regardless. So it's going to be a really interesting game. Jord, for you, any changes from that team? I mean, we spoke about Dan Bentley. Do you keep him in? Do you, we spoke about Sarabia, certain players. Anyone else that you'd like to see get some good game time?
I think they could all get dropped. To be honest with you, wouldn't surprise me. I think Bentley will start again. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Moutinho get a game. To be honest with you,
his last game at Molineux,
his last wave in front of the North Bank, clean the ball, hit the first man off a corner. You might see that. I'd like to see. I think we're a better team with Joe Gomez in the side. I really do. More energy, industry in that middle of the park. The striker situation. I know we got a bit giddy about Costa. He's getting, he's had some decent performances, but I really think we need to be planning. If he should be in our squad next year. In my opinion, again, this is I think we need a couple centre forwards because you just know you're not going to get the goals from if you sign him again. Out wide, I would like to see Sarabia play. Hwang even from the start. It's so hard to predict the team what it's going to be at the moment because it feels like Lopetegui is going to give some people some chances. It wouldn't surprise me if you saw Johnny back in the squad or even Aitnery getting a start. It could be absolutely anything. It's like a lucky dip raffle at the minute, I think. So, we'll just have to see what comes out at 2:00. I just really hope that we put in a performance. That's all I can ask for.
Yeah, Finn, it could be, it will be the last game last Molineux game for a certain amount of players. Players, most probably Jimenez, Moutinho, you would assume as well. Could be the last game, home game for Diego Costa as well. Johnny potentially in the squad. Aitnery, who's barely got a sniff under Lopetegui as well, which is really surprising. So it could really be an interesting game. But like I said earlier, Everton's still going for survival. They've got us and Bournemouth. Probably 2 games they do see as winnable matches. Although the win last bank holiday against Brighton has put them in a fairly decent position. What are you expecting from Wolves? Do you think we're going to roll over and at Everton, or are we going to still be on the beach and Everton going to have another good away game? Or do you think Wolves will go for this and, try and get another win on the board?
fresh off that Man United performance, I thought, I don't know if it was the day later when Everton, it was when Everton played Man City, and on the commentary they went, well, Everton need a win from somewhere, and it's this game, Wolves and Bournemouth coming up next. Where's it going to go? I was like, Wolves. It just felt like if they've got something to play for, you saw what they did to Brighton, albeit off 4 shots on target with 5 goals. But if they've still got that motivation and looking at that Wolves team, they were half-arsing it. So I'm seeing an Everton win, to be honest. But as you say, you look at that Brighton game, as in the Wolves-Brighton game, then the fight in that Villa game at home, whether that will spark us back into life. Because if they put in a lackluster performance and then it's, as you say, 6 or 7 players is goodbye, there's going to be 12 people to wave at, isn't there, at the end of the game?
Yeah,
so if
that's
they put in a
very
performance
true.
like that, you've got to put in a shift. And equally, if you're a Leicester fan, like Lopetegui said the other day, didn't he? If you're a Leicester fan, a Forest fan, you're going to want Wolves to put in a shift. If Forest go down, I don't mind just throwing it, thinking about it. But no, yeah,
I was going to ask that.
Integrity.
I was going to ask that as my next question, because I have seen people on social media today said they wouldn't mind giving Everton the win if it meant Forest got in more trouble. But I think Forest have done enough to probably stay up anyway, George. From looking at the table, I think it's probably out of Everton, Leicester and Leeds. Probably Leeds and Leicester the most.
But equally with Liverpool tonight as well. If Liverpool beat Leicester, then it's like it means Everton might stay up. So it's like, do Liverpool throw it to let Everton go
exactly.
It's not
I know it was on Monday Night Football before joining on here where they were talking about the league situation, and I think Forest probably just need one more point, to be fair, out there next 2. I really dislike Everton. Like I've said it, I really dislike them. Like they think they're a big club. They're arrogant. They need to go down. I'd love to see them go down. So that's why I really want them. I really hope we beat them. But the reality is they'll come and turn us over 3-0. But it does feel like we always beat Everton though. Like it just feels like we've got that. Well, I couldn't.
At home, we've got a good record, I think. Yeah,
even at Goodison we have as well, haven't we? Like, but won a few times at Goodison. Like I remember Den Donker's volley at Goodison as well.
Jimenez header.
Jimenez header. So I just feel like it'd be good to beat them. It'd be good to see them go down. I think Leicester are gone, but I think that Leeds point against Newcastle on the weekend is actually quite a big point because they've got West Ham and Spurs, haven't they? And West Ham are probably going to have their eyes on the Conference League final, albeit they get through, and I don't blame them for that. And then Spurs are just embarrassing, aren't they? So it's interesting. I mean, the one thing with Everton is the fans will be loud, they'll be raucous. Like they'll put it on us from minute 1 as well. That so it'll be interesting. Like you'll know at the way the game's going in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, if Wolves have all of a sudden found this sort of habit to score early, haven't they? And that kills any sort of atmosphere from the away fans. Villa are awful. We saw it a couple of times, over the last month or so. So hopefully that happens again. I could just imagine Jonah at home time stamping that way. You were saying Everton were awful, ready for his next edit for Saturday evening anyway. So talking to fans as well, Finn. Obviously, I don't know how close you were to the United fans, but I said before we started, on Saturday there was me, a steward, and then the United fans. So Wolves fans started chanting about Mason Greenwood, as you do. The steward says, he was foreign, the steward. He goes, is he guilty? And I thought I was going to try and catch me out here. And I was like, I'm not sure, mate. And he goes, oh, maybe he will escape prison. I was like, all right, because you haven't got a clue there. And then the United fans just got so, and it wasn't even about that chant. They got so wound up. Started calling Wolves fans, gypsies. It was mad. And then when they scored that first goal, they're all like, I know you give it the bigger than that. But the reaction was as if they were just getting pelters all game. I was like, flipping heck. So, it'll be interesting to see how we react and what the atmosphere is like, because it was a bit of a tired performance. It was a crap performance here at United. I don't mean they had to get out of first gear, really. But like you said, hopefully the players are up for it. Final game for some of them at Molineux. And obviously going around the pitch afterwards, they're still going to want a few thousand in there, to say goodbye to, won't they? So we'll have to wait and see. But it is now time for the quiz, lads, and I've been looking forward to this. And people that are listening on Spotify, Apple, whatever, I'll explain this the best I can. On YouTube, you get the visual pleasure. But let's see if I can get this all set up as planned. So I'm sure you lads watching have seen the game Tenable. Are you seen Tenable?
Finn,
once. So you know,
Is it
roughly.
the Warwick Davis one?
That's it, with the big man, or the little man in his.
Good job you're hosting then.
Yeah. So this is tenable. So basically, for those at home or those that aren't in the UK that don't know what tenable is about, you've got a list of 10 things. Normally the top 10 of something. And basically, you don't have to say it in any particular order. You could say the top one, you could say number 7, you could say number 10. But I want Finn and Jord to get the top 10 most expensive Wolves players of all time, according to Transfermarkt. No cheating, please. We're going to go one by one. Yeah, between you. But if you get one wrong, say Finn, you get one wrong, you're out. And then it's all to Jord and vice versa. But because you're on my screen first, Finn, I'll let you go first. So 1 to 10. Let's see what you got on tenable.
Most expensive signings, yeah, not sales.
Yep, signings, yep.
I'll go Cunha then.
Matheus Cunha. To be fair, because that hasn't actually... I'll let you off because that actually hasn't gone through as of yet until the summer.
So he's not in the top 10?
Yeah, so he's not in the top 10. I'll let you
off.
Go
again.
Start again.
Go again.
Has he not? I swear Fabrizio
Romano. He got triggered in January, but I don't think it becomes actual official until... Yeah. Sorry, so I'll let you off on that one.
Okay, I'll go for the other Matheus then. Nunes.
Matheus Nunes is number 1. There you go. Couldn't quite fit his name in, so you could just see his little head there. Go on, Jord.
Fabio Silva.
Fabio Silva. We're doing it in order. He's number 2 there. Great start. Finn.
Oh, so his next. Should we try and do it in order as a challenge? Is the next one Jimenez?
Number 3 is Raul Jimenez. Well done. Oh, they're on a roll here. Here we go. Jord.
Nelson Semedo.
Nelson Semedo is number 5.
Oh, who's 4 then? Oh, oh God. I can only think less than Semedo, so I'm going to have to abandon number 4. I'll go for Nathan Collins.
Nathan Collins is number 6. I'll give you. This is a massive clue. Okay, all these players are still contracted to Wolves.
Well, I was thinking whether Catrone sneaks in. Is he gone? He's gone.
I was thinking he might have been number 10 as well.
That's a massive clue.
So Collins was 20 million. Go Ruben Neves.
Ruben Neves is number 14 on the list, Jord. So he's not top 10. So Jord, you are frozen out. Jord, you are terrible at tenable, in the words of Warwick Davis. So Finn, it's up to you to try and get 5 now. The last 5.
Oh, that's so annoying. How the heck? Oh,
and they're all still contracted to Wolves.
All still contracted to Wolves. I think that gives you a massive hint for at least one of them.
Yeah, I feel like it should. All right, I'm just going to pick an area of the pitch.
Oh, let me back in.
So your wingers, you got Neto's a mystery in it. How much he actually because it was 20 for the 2 of them, but I don't know how much of that was Neto. So I won't risk that one yet. Podence was he about 12, 13? Sarabia wasn't low. Are any of these in there? No. So that's wingers. I'm coming back to Neto. Oh, Dave, stop it. I
thought I made one easy when I said they're all contracted to Wolves.
All contracted to Wolves. Got Fabio. Yeah. Oh my God. Can we let Jord? Oh.
Try and knock yourself out.
I'll give you one lifeline where Jord can give you a clue. Jord, you can't say who it is, but you can ask. You can give him a clue on one of these that you think.
People are going to be screaming.
Either position or former club or whatever.
Okay, I would say when we came up into the Premier League, Spanish right winger was our club record fee.
Yeah, Adama.
At that time.
Great shout.
At the time.
That's the one winger I didn't think of.
He's number 8.
And how much was Hwang thinking about of other wingers that I forgot? No, he was less.
Less Hwang.
Thanks, George, for that. I'd completely forgot.
You're 4 left.
João Gomez. What was Gomez, about 15? Catrone was 16, wasn't he? And Neves was about 16, so he can't be on there. I think
these are all in euros, Finn, as well. So some of these, I reckon you're saying in sterling. So there are some there that you're saying, yeah.
I don't want to risk them, though. Well, I'll go... Gomez has crept in just because you've given me that one. So
João Gomez is number 10.
Just
so you've got number 4, number 7, and number 9. All right, I'm going to give you a massive clue. These are the fees because you'll kick yourself, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, you got 32.6 million. 21 million and 19.6 million.
Euros or pounds?
Euros. So the top one there, number 4, which is missing, 32.6 million.
Wait, someone's going to be everyone's going to be screaming. 32 million.
This is funny because I tested this on someone earlier and they completely forgot about this person as well.
And he's still contracted to Wolves.
Yeah. You give yourself a big clue there, I think.
Still. Well, so he's out on loan? I'm so glad George's looking like that as well.
I can't think of that.
32 minutes.
Yeah, I'll tell you now, ITV would be struggling here because we'd be having about 3 ad breaks by now.
Yeah. Oh my God. What year date? Sorry, this is the 32 million. What year did we sign him?
I'll give you the year 2022.
Oh no.
And I'll tell you now, he's not currently at the club.
Oh, Guedes. Oh my God.
Gonzalo Guedes, number 4.
Oh dear.
I would say 7 and 9 are quite difficult ones. They are still at Wolves now, but they're quite difficult ones because of the fees. So you got number 7, which is 21 million euros, and number 9, which is 19.6 million euros.
Just going through the entire squad. Here we go. Not Costa, not Jimenez, not Kaladzic.
Sasha Kaladzic is number 12 on the list.
Wow.
You were out.
I thought it was 18 million. Which then in euros?
18 million euros. But number 7.
Euros.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
9 is 19.6. So,
sorry, I thought it was
what positions?
So number 7 is a fullback.
Who? Not Hoover.
Johnny Otto with 21 million euros.
I'd have never said that.
Number 9 is a winger.
Neto.
Huang.
19.6 million. Pedence.
What?
19.6.
I thought he'd come for about 11 million, 12 million.
Yeah, I thought it was 11, 12.
So, top. This is according to transfer marks, obviously excluding Cunha. You've left egg on my face massively there when you mentioned that. You got Nunes number 1, Fabio Silva 2, Jimenez 3, Guedes 4, Semedo 5, Collins 6, Otto. Who calls him that? Johnny Otto 7, Adama 8, Daniel Benitez 9, and João Gomez 10. Players that just missed out, but I gave you a massive clue anyway on the Catrone was 11th with 18 million euros. Jesus. Kaladzic number 12, Patricio is number 13 as well, Neves, and then Neto is 15. Apparently, according to transfer marks, at 17.9 million pounds. Right. So, it's fair to say you two are terrible at tenable, in the words of.
I'm usually not, but that was That
was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you played at home, do let us know how you got on. Obviously, for the audio listeners, how you sort of got the gist, and give us some topics as well, maybe to look at in the future episodes as well. So, lads, we'll move on to the questions now as well. We asked for questions on both Twitter and Instagram, so thank you for those who got involved. Craig Berry on Twitter. Jord, we'll start with you. If you could get your money back on any of Collins, Nunes, and Guedes, would you take it? I think Guedes, we can answer for all 3 of us. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Guedes, yes. I
forgot he existed, so yeah.
Nunes, yes.
Ooh.
Collins, you probably got to say yes, although I think there's a player there.
Yeah.
Just because I know, I can't I love him, but I can't really. If I can get £20 million back in the back pocket for spend elsewhere, I'm probably going to do it. But I think Guedes don't want to be here. Nunes, for me, for the price tags, flattered to deceive, Annie, in my opinion. And then Collins, we're not in a position really to have a £20 million centre half just sitting there loiter on the bench, in my opinion.
Finn, what do you reckon?
I think I'd say no on Nunes. I still would like to see him in his actual position a little bit more before I'd say that, because I think there's an unbelievable player there. But he has dropped some absolute stinkers, and I wasn't there for Brighton, which I think is sort of covering my short-term memory of him compared to you guys. So maybe on Nunes. And Collins, I think if he was left-footed, he'd have played the last half of the season, wouldn't he? But he'd have also been 30 million if he was left-footed. So it's so many if-buts, maybes, if my grandmother had wheels and all that. So, I think I'd largely agree. But, maybe I think the Núñez one, there's more to come, hopefully, for next season.
Yeah, it was an interesting story about Collins. I don't know if you saw it before we played United, that Darren Fletcher had told Ten Hag to go for him whilst he was at Stoke as well. Ended up going for Lisandro Martinez. So, yeah, I think there's obviously a player in there, but yeah, maybe we see the best out of him a full pre-season under Lopetegui. Who knows? George Arthur on Twitter as well. Finn, what sort of budget do you think Lopetegui will be backed with in the summer?
I'm not fully sure on our financial fair play standard. I mean, it can't be too close, can it? I mean, if Chelsea are doing it, then we can't be too close. But I think it will be reinvestments plus, as in your net spend's going to be about 30, do you reckon? 20, 30, if that, maybe 20 million on a net. It's going to be reinvest, I assume, because we went rather big in the last two, and that didn't go too well. So yeah, a little bit more. I think you can't get a manager of Lopetegui's stature in without promising him a little bit, but I think he'll understand that, yeah, it's I mean, if you're going to get your 45 for Neves, which you're probably going to be getting more near 40, 35, you've got saleable assets there that I think could go. So I think you still have a sizable budget with the sort of resales plus a little bit. So in summary, you're going to be looking at about 100 and a bit, about 100 altogether, but then you're going to have to fund that.
I was going to say, yeah, Jord, probably there are going to be sales there. I think Neves is obviously a potential one. Although you won't get much, you've probably got Johnny, Podence, Jimenez, if those three do go. What do you reckon? To be fair, the club surprised me with the amount of money they spent this season, both in the January window, which I think they had to, and last summer. And with the slight increase once again in season ticket prices, you'd possibly hope that it's going to happen again.
Yeah, well, the fact the season tickets have gone up by 6%, they should be spending over 100 million. But now, I genuinely think we'll spend, in terms of, I think we'll forget net spend. I think we'll bring in over 100 million pounds worth of players in the summer, but there will be obviously caveats to that, i.e., probably selling Neves and other people going within that as well. So, like I say, big summer ahead. I think we could be one of the biggest spenders in the Premier League, but we'll also be losing some assets. So, you've got to look at take that with a pinch of salt. I think we could quite easily be in the top 5 or 6 spenders this summer.
I don't disagree with that either. I know you mentioned we mentioned season tickets. We haven't really spoke about that much, but we did a Twitter space as well, which I think you can listen back. So if anyone is interested in that, I can always send you a link. Mark on Twitter as well. We'll do a quick fire one on this one. Keep, loan out, or sell. Finn, number 1, Hwang, Silva, or Podence. So keep one, loan one out, and sell one.
In their current situations, as in Podence only got a year left. So Podence the easy sell there, isn't he? If he's got a year left. It looks like you'd be granting Silva's wish with a loan, but I'd probably keep Silva, loan, Hwang, sell, Podence.
Yeah.
Say maybe.
What do you think, Jordan?
Sell Podence.
That one's an easy
loan, one. Yeah. Loan Silva. Keep Hwang, I'd do. Because I don't think Silva wants to be here.
No, unfortunately. Yeah. Next one is Finn, Ruben Neves, Mateus Núñez, and Boubacar Traoré.
I could never say sell Neves, but it's going to happen, isn't it? Are we going on what we would want?
Yeah, what you want?
Yeah, what I would want. I don't want to sell any of them.
I'd probably say sell, if you can get the money, sell Núñez, loan out Boubacar, keep Neves.
Yeah, in an ideal world, but it's probably going to be the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
Jord?
So, yeah, sell Núñez, loan Booby, keep Neves.
Yeah. Good job Willy Bolly's not on that one either. Yeah. Number 3.
Johnny Willy Booby.
Yeah.
Boy.
Number 3, Nathan Collins, Totti Gomez, and Ryan Aït-Nouri, Finn.
Oh, keep Aït-Nouri.
That was a tough one, that one. Yeah.
I'm still an Aït-Nouri believer. Keep Aït-Nouri, so that means that I'd sell Collins for the good of his career because he deserves to be starting. And I would loan Totti out back to my beloved Grasshoppers.
That was a tough one, to be fair, because I think they've all...
Aït-Nouri's going nowhere, regardless.
There's 3 players there, Jord, with quality. Collins, Totti, Aït-Nouri. But I'd possibly say keep Aït-Nouri, loan out Collins, sell Totti. And I know that's wild for me to say because I've been backing Totti a little bit over the last few weeks.
I would keep Collins, sell Aitnery, loan Totti. I think Aitnery's run out of lives. Like, there's obviously stuff going on in the background. Like, he's pissed off a couple managers now.
Yeah.
Just get rid of him. If he's a bad egg, we've got no time for grey eggs.
George stayed realistic there, Finn, whilst we've gone with what we would probably want to do. So. Last one as well, Finn, Luke Cundle, Joe Hodge, Dexter Lembikisa.
Hodge is the loan. Hodge is the loan. I keep No. Oh, that's horrible as well. I want to loan them all, basically, but I will keep Hodge. I'm going to swap it. Loan Cundle back out. Sell Lembikisa. I don't know. They all need a loan, but I don't know. I suppose I'll go with that. I don't know.
I'd probably do it in the order. Keep Cundle, loan out Hodge, sell Lembikisa. Jord, what are you thinking?
I would sell Hodge, keep Lembikisa, loan Cundle. I think there's a player in Lembikisa. Sorry. I think there's a real good player in there.
Do I see Joe Hodge was in the concourse, by the way. I felt bad for him because no one really. I think he's one of those people that people are like, I know you from somewhere, but he wasn't getting hounded by fans or anything. So we move on to the next question. Amar's Music Show on Twitter says, why are we seeing a trend where players keep leaving Wolves on loan and don't want to come back to the club? We've got Morgan Gibbs-White, Rafa Mir, now Fabio Silva. Why do we think this has happened? It's probably because, obviously, number one, they're getting game time somewhere else. Number two, actually feel like they wanted somebody somewhere else. And then thinking, why should I go back to Wolves? I think Morgan Gibbs-White was one where he got shafted a little bit, promised things that didn't happen. Bruno Lage obviously tried to keep him, and the board obviously don't trust or didn't have much faith in Bruno Lage and went over. Well, I don't know if they went over his head to sell him. Rafa Mir was just never a Wolves player to begin with. He never wanted to be here. Never worked for him in England anyway. Jord, could we see the same thing with Fabio Silva? Because he seems to be enjoying life. But he's getting game time where he's not, he might not be starting the games, but he's coming off the bench and getting a good amount of minutes.
I don't think, I've said it before, I don't think he'll kick a ball for Wolves again competitively. I really don't. I just don't think he wants to be here. I feel like there's a lot that's probably happened. He's probably got some bad experience being here, like got hounded out by fans. He got thrown in at the deep end far too early.
Yeah.
And I think to add to those bullet points where you said as well, like what you're saying about, they don't want to come back and enjoying playing football. They probably haven't enjoyed the style of football either that we were playing when, under Nuno and Bruno for some extent. And even at the moment under Lopetegui, as much as I think it's been substance over style at the moment to keep us up, like I wouldn't want to be coming back to playing this team at the moment because it's just so like up and down. So we need some consistency. We haven't really got. I don't think we've got a blueprint yet of how we're going to play next season. So yeah, I think players who are out on loan are enjoying it. I.e., Silva's enjoying it at Eindhoven. He's going to do everything he can to keep out at Eindhoven.
It'd be interesting to see if almost happens similar sort of thing to Morgan Gibbs-White, where he comes back, has a few friendlies, and then almost that's when he maybe gets some bids and gets sold or loaned out again. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Finn, I don't know. Are you a fan of Fabio Silva's new trim, his new hairstyle?
He loves Xavi Simons, doesn't he? That's probably the one reason he wants to stay there. I like the iconic big curls personally. I'm not. A fan.
I don't dislike his new trim though. He got an assist yesterday. I had a pick. I actually thought it was just like a one-off joke thing, but he's kept it. I saw on his Instagram.
Paul Glad, I sent into our chat as well. Paul Gladon scored a bicycle kick in the same game.
I've not seen it.
Superb.
I'm not seeing it yet, but I've not. Yeah, Paul and Shifnal Balti Ultras. He loves it.
But isn't it's not really, it's a trend, but also they're all separate cases, aren't they? Almost, it's like Silva was played too much too early. Gibbs-White never got the game time for us when he was promised it, and Rafa Mir just in general just
was Rafa Mir.
I mean, if you choose Spain or Wolverhampton, it's fair enough.
Not heard his name for a while though, because
he scored on the weekend
for him.
Oh, did he? Yeah. Lopetegui was the one that signed him, wasn't it, for Sevilla?
Yeah, he did score on the week. It's only because I was having a look through Sky Sports Score Centre on the weekend randomly, and he scored in a 3-0 win. There you go.
Bash.
That screams what's the one day where they just put 2 and 2 together for transfer rumours where you always go, discount it if they go Lopetegui looking to reunite with That's what it'll be.
It'll be at least one of them. It'll be the goalkeeper, Bono. There'll be Reguilon, Rafa Mir could be one. Yeah, there'll be a few on there. Acuna as well. But then we've got too many Mateus and Marcus's and Acuna's and Cunha. So I think it's Kai on Instagram, and obviously Southampton have now gone down. Is there any players that you would like from Southampton? He's put on the cheap. But I still think you're gonna have to pay a price. Jord, one of the ones he's mentioned is Alcaraz. He was a player that Wolves were linked with before. He's not done too bad since he joined them.
He looked all right, and I haven't seen enough. I haven't seen enough of him to say, I want him because I don't follow Southampton. I watch the games when on Sky, but I can't say I watched too many 90 minutes of them. I think the obvious one's Ward-Prowse, but I'm not clamouring over him. I feel like again, you bring Ward-Prowse here. The one thing he hasn't got is mobility and legs, which is something that we're trying to probably move on from at the moment. The one I would go for, I think you got Lavia, but again, he's going to have suitors. I think Livramento's a real dark horse. Like, he's obviously coming back from his ACL injury, but he was unbelievable last year. Highly touted. You might be able to get him on relatively cheaper than you would have last year just because of him coming back from a serious injury, but you are taking a gamble on that. There's a few. They've got a few neat players. That's the problem. They've got a few tidy players that I won't be mind coming here. But even the goalie, I think, is quite good. I know he's been dropped recently, Bazunu. I'm not saying we should definitely go out and get him, but if Sarr goes out the door, I don't think he's a bad one to pick up.
I said as well, I think I mentioned it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, Livramento's got Portuguese in him as well. So, fits the bill perfectly. Anyone from your point of view that you like the look of, Finn?
Livramento's just been missing all season, hasn't he? But before, you are right. Yeah, he was unbelievable. I think that Bazunu, I thought he was all right, but then I dug a bit deep. I think he's got one of the worst XG prevented in the league. But I remember early on in the season, people were raving about him, but whether he sort of declined. You've got Walker Peters. You could even reunite with Maitland-Niles after all these years. Fullbacks that can play on both sides. But I've always liked Salisu, and especially if we're doing the sort of left back that can also play centre back, or like we're doing with Totti. Alcaraz, I think they signed him as a centre mid, didn't they? And then he's almost been playing up front. And I remember Wolves were sniffing around him before, but they all seem to like him from what I've seen online. But there's no one really jumping out. I always remember Matt raving about Joe Aribo, and he hasn't seemed to have done much this season. I don't know whether he was injured or anything, but I remember thinking that would be a good sign at the start of the year. I saw Everton were sniffing around Che Adams. As you say, there are players there. You think, God, how have they gone down with decent Premier League players? But when I watched Che Adams somehow handball himself out of a goal at Molineux.
Oh my God, remember
that. Don't think I'll be going for him. But yeah, there's players all over there, but not players where you're going to get really excited. Just good squad options on there. There's a few.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone that just walks directly into the Wolves team. I think, like you said, Ward-Prowse never, great. But even set piece wise, I ain't seen him score many free kicks the last few months or this season at all. Even at Molineux, 25 yards out, he played them both short. Not Molineux, at St Mary's against Wolves. Played them both short.
I think he scored. Didn't he score? I think he scored one against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Didn't he win the one? I think it was.
How long ago was that? A few weeks ago, was it?
When Potter was still there, maybe.
So it was a good while ago. Yeah,
just after the World Cup, maybe.
Seemed to be a phase. Maybe it was last season. He scored that brilliant one against us. Like every other week, he was scoring an absolute banger. So, who knows? And the final one, this is the one that I alluded to earlier. Sean Mitchell on Twitter. After a night out on the pop, which is alcohol, beer, cocktails, whatever, what is your go-to food? So for me, last few times I've had a Dixie's, and that is grime. It tends to go like a spicy chicken burger or something like that. I never tend to have a kebab or anything when I'm drunk.
Are we talking about Wolverhampton?
No, just in general. So what would you eat when and maybe a pizza as well? Is what I tend to go for as well. But yeah, it seems to be like a burger.
I've not been out in Wolverhampton for a bit of time, but is pork joint still there?
I know what you're on about. I can't tell you if it's still there at the moment.
No, pork joint was the best thing ever. Like after blast off, go to pork joint, get a pork bap. And there's one time we actually said to the guy, we'll give you 40 quid just to give us all the crackling. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, literally, can you just like lift the crackling off the joint and we'll buy the whole crackling? He would just refuse to sell it to us. So, no, we'll give you 40 quid. So no, it used to be a pork joint in Wolverhampton. Always.
I know what you mean. I can't tell you if it's still there though.
Yeah, always pork joint. A couple of times Pizza Mahan, and I know I shared the Sam and Mark story of Pizza Mahan a few before.
Is that where it was?
Yeah. That was quite fun. And actually, Mark validated it, didn't he? At the same
yeah, we asked him.
There you go. So it's a true story. There you go. But yeah, if you're talking about like being out in Brum or something, probably just a Mackey's. I know that's very like basic bitch.
Yeah, Mackey's. Yeah, it depends.
Wolverhampton, solid, isn't it?
Wolverhampton, the one shuts, isn't it, during the evening? The Rio.
You have to go to Stafford Road, don't you?
Yeah, you get a taxi to the Stafford Road. Back in the day, I used to stay out till 6 when that McDonald's opened in town. Those were the dark days. Yeah.
where would you be till 6? Gorgeous.
Mate, yeah, you go to like Yates's, and then Gorgeous till 6.
I was say Gorgeous was the only one that I knew was open till like that time.
I only did it 2 or 3 times, but like looking back now, that is probably
not proud of it.
Not healthy. Yeah. Finn, what's your go-to? I know you're funny with food anyway, to be fair. Well, not funny, but that's tastes.
No, that sort of food's all right up my street. It's beige. I'm like, I'll have any of that. I'm not picky on it after a night out. The only thing is with pizzas is the thing that you know I'm funny with is that I don't like tomato sauce on them. So you're not going to go anywhere for like a 3 o'clock in the morning pizza and
Texan barbecue
without sauce. They're going to tell you to get lost. Yeah. So I'm quite happy with any burger. Like the ones in Stafford, I just end up with like a popcorn chicken and chips. I dread to think what's in them, but it hits the spot. There's no like, I don't think the McDonald's is open till then. Yeah, it's always like the Al Karim, just like one of those sorts of ones that we go to. There was at the hotel we went to as well in Greece. There was like basically it's like smelled like a kebab house where you could just get like burgers, kebabs like for free. It was unreal.
Oh, really?
So I had them in like the middle of the day, and it was I was reminiscing that sort of stuff, like like chicken nuggets.
Yeah, I think I had a kebab. Like Charlie's Fish Bowl was the one, but again, those were the dark days of the nights out. I've not been there in a long time. Ever since I mentioned it, I'm scared to go in just in case.
Yeah, you could go and get sausage and chips, 20 Benson and Edges, and a pack of condoms.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? The one very quickly before we end, the one funny McDonald's night out story I went to. My mate used to go to uni in Worcester, and where all their bars and stuff are. There was a McDonald's open round there. Is that where you went, Jord?
I went to the unit Worcester, yeah.
How did you? So I was at. I tell you when it was. It was the day before. It was a Friday night. It was the day before we beat Leicester 4-3. You know, Jota's hat trick. So we went out on the.
So where did you go? You go to Tramps?
Oh mate, I can't. Oh, we went there. You know what? Yeah, we went there, and then we
Tramps
went
is the nightclub.
Yeah, we went there, and then for a couple of hours, and then we went to some bar, and you just could not move. It was horrific. So I don't think it was there was an outside area.
Bushwhackers, that'll be then.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I say I don't remember, but yeah, when you said the name. We went to McDonald's, and we're getting all our tickets with the numbers on, and we're very close. We're like 62, 63, 64. We're all sat down eating, and then they've got like it's weird. Like people are ordering, but they're like milling around outside, and there's obviously a security guard in there as well, which says this type of establishment it is at this time. It's probably only like 1:30, 2 in the morning. And the guy goes, number 69. And we're like, way! Nothing happens. No one collects the order. Some bird comes in about 3 minutes later. Who's got my order, number 69? And my mate happens to be eating the exact same thing that she ordered. So she grabs the burger out of his hand and dashes it across the McDonald's. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? She was like, that's my food. He's like, no, this is my food. We just cheered because it was number 69. So her boyfriend comes in and starts kicking off at us, saying we've nicked a meal. I was like, mate, what the hell's going on? So in the end, the security kicks her out. My mate gets a new meal. And the security guy comes in. He goes, I never knew 69 could be so bad. That was my only experience of Worcester, George. So, yeah. It was all right, yeah. My mate went uni.
Fantastic place for uni. Fantastic place. But... I went back a few years ago for a night out. We had a bit of a reunion. It's just not the same.
What the same? No. Yeah, but for Wolves, it's Stafford Road. You've got to get a taxi over there if you want a cheeky late night Mackies anyway. But lads, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. We've got our penultimate podcast next week, unfortunately, of the season, but I'm sure we'll enjoy it. And fingers crossed, Wolves can get 3 points on Saturday against Everton. Finn, thanks for rejoining us again. Where can people find you if they wish?
My pleasure. I missed you all. Finners, FINERRZ on everything. Unsurprisingly, no video of the Man United game because there would have been absolutely nothing. But No, yeah, Finners on everything. Thank you all.
No problem. Jord, what about you?
Jord was 7 on Twitter and Instagram, and of course LinkedIn.
I was going to say, I thought we were neglecting the LinkedIn.
Never neglect the LinkedIn. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I'm at Dave as a party on Twitter and Instagram, and obviously we're at Talking Walls everywhere. Lots of transfer rumours coming up now as well, so be sure to check out all the Twitter and so on. And then before we finish, there's just been a piece of news that Liverpool are signing a 14-year-old from Wolves for £800,000. 14 years of age. So yeah, we'll post that one out in a second as well. But yeah, thank you for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, be sure to leave us a 5-star review. Hopefully you enjoyed the tenable quiz. I'm sure we'll have another one of those very, very soon. And yeah, we'll see you guys very, very soon.